record. Okay, all right, great. Thank you guys for joining the call once again today, being the 5th day of the session. And today we'll be looking at some of these key concepts. We'll talk about the basic JavaScript operations. We'll talk about conditional statements. There are a whole lot of conditional statements in JavaScript, but we won't have the luxury of time to cover virtually all of them. So we'll be looking at the if-else statement. We have a lot of them. We have the switch statement, just if, but this is like the one you mostly see on a day-to-day. The others are very, very important and crucial as well. But I think I'll find a way to prepare some document around the other ones. But I believe once you have a good understanding of this one, you can always find yourself working with the others, right? And then we'll also look at loops. For the loops, we'll talk about the for and why. We also have the do while loop, right? These are the core fundamentals, right? The basic loops you encounter on a day-to-day, right? Then we'll look at functions in today's session as well. So, all right, let's get started, right? So we'll begin with the basic JavaScript operations. JavaScript allows us to perform some of these basic arithmetical operations we do with our calculators, right? It does all those evaluations, all those computations for us, like the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then the modulus operation. That's the remainder operation, right? So for the addition is just very basic. It's just like adding two different numbers, right? And this addition, again, you can use it to concatenate. I'll explain what that means, right? Then the normal subtraction, the way you subtract your numbers, it does normal multiplication, it does normal division, and then it uses this percentage sign to calculate the modulus between two numbers. Let's say maybe you do something like 5 modulus 2, what it's like trying to find out the remainder, right, between numbers. So don't worry, let me also head straight to my VS. Let me launch my VS Code as well, so we can also take a look at what that means. So I'll open up my VS Code. Let me open new window, right? So if you open it as a new window, this comes up. This was the page you've been working with, right? I think I've explained basically this environment, how to find your way around. So I'll just click here. I believe you understand what that implies. So this was the code we wrote in the last session, right? In day 4. This was what we did when we were talking about the various data types, right? Data types, and then we looked at the let, the var, and the const in declaring variables. And if by chance you forgot what we did, the recordings are on YouTube. I think I've also shared the link on the WhatsApp group, right? You just do well to play it, and then you can skip to the point where you want to remember what we did, right? So basically, we in that session we talked about the different data types and then variables. So in today's session, let's continue making use of this file. Basically, but I don't want this console.log to be printing my console, so I can go ahead and comment this guy. We've already talked about JavaScript comment, right? So I believe you understand what comment means. Basically, they just null a particular line, that they make it unexecutable. The computer would not execute that particular line, right? So this was when we were talking about the different data types. So today we'll say the first item on our list. I want to write a comment. Okay, in fact, let me copy all of this guy here. Okay, does this mean okay? Okay, let me copy all of this so that we won't miss a thing. Copy this guy, and then let me paste it here, and then make it a comment. This is a multi-line comment, right? So I'm using Shift Alt A. So I have this multiple line comment here. So basically today, the first item we have is the arithmetic operations. So we have the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus. So now if we're working with addition, for example, addition, paste, want to do a single line comment here, this is a single line comment. You would have something like let's x, for example, equal to 7, and then you could have something like, okay, say let y equal to 10. We already know if you add these two numbers, it's going to give you 15, right? You could still have something like, okay, let result equal to x plus y, for example, right? X plus y. So by the time you console.log this result, it's going to bring out the answer when you evaluate x plus y, right? So maybe if you do something like, okay, console.log result. Remember, result is the variable that is holding the answer when you add x and y. And x is the variable holding number 7. Y is a variable holding number 10, right? So if you console.log this guy, I want to make use of my terminal. I'm using the shortcut. So that will be control backtick. I have this terminal, right? I want to clear my terminal. I'll use the clear command, right? So, but if you notice, this is where I am currently inside ICT Zoid training, this folder. But my file, this main.js file, is inside this JS class. So I'll navigate there. So I will do cd js underscore class. Now you see that I'm no longer here again, but I'm inside this folder, js underscore class, right? So you have to be inside the folder where the file is to run this command, node main.js. So if I hit enter, okay, I didn't get an output. Was that? Let me see. Okay, the main file is here. Oh, yes. Reason why I didn't get an output, I didn't get a result. Now, if you look at this file, this main.js, if you look at this section, this some sort of layer here, this title section part of it, right? You see there's a white circle here. It shows that, yeah, I've done some sort of editing to this file, but I've not saved it. I didn't save my code. So let me save it. Control S to save. Control S to save. You see that dot has gone. So now if I run that command, sorry. If I run that command, node main.js, you see 17, right? So this addition sign can also be used for to do some sort of concatenation. Concatenation simply means you're like trying to bring things together, like, yeah, maybe I have I could have something like, okay, let z equal to this is a string, the answer is equal. Now I want my output to be displayed when you do console log. Instead of just having 17, I want to print this sentence, the answer is equal to 17. So now I can concatenate, right? I could do something like I can now fetch this guy. This is the text I need to bring out. I can also, okay, let me even use it as a variable, right? Let me use it as a variable. I can now say something like z plus result, and I save. I clear this guy. Let me run this file. You can see the answer is equal to 17. This is what we refer to as concatenation. By concatenation, it's like you're trying to add a string. Remember, strings are a word and a number. This is the word concatenation, right? So you now concat a word. This is a string. Now, if we hover over this z, you see z is a string, and result is a number. So this is what we refer to as concatenation. Besides even keeping this text here, you can even type it here manually. I can do something, okay, the answer will be equal to. So if I save this guy and I run this file, you see the answer will be equal to 17, right? So you can either use a variable to hold your text and then concatenate it, or you can come down straight inside this space here and then do the concatenation. I want to believe that makes sense. Hope that's clear, right? Okay. All right, so let's proceed to the next one, which is subtraction. Subtraction too is very basic, right? Let me comment this guy. It's like, okay, I can still come back here. Already these variables are saved. So anytime I call y and x, I'm going to get 10 and 7, right? So I can still even do something straight away like console.log y minus 10. I save this guy. So y minus 10. So y minus x, right? So if I run this code, I'm doing y minus 10. What is y? Y is 10. Y minus x. What is y? Y is 10. X is 7, right? So let's run this code and see node main.js. You see the answer here, 3, right? This one is coming from here. See, so if I comment this line, save this guy, and then let me clear my terminal and I run this code again, you see just 3 because I've now commented this section. So this is just it for subtraction. Very basic, just the same way we know. And it works the same for multiplication, right? So if you want to make all this thing beautiful, instead of just having 3, you know the drills already. It's just concatenate, right? Maybe we could drop something here like, okay, the result after the subtraction equal outside here, put the plus, sorry, shift the plus, right? Yeah, okay, good. So now if I run this code again, let me clear my terminal so you can see it very well. I run my code. Okay. Now, I didn't still get the output. Why? Now you can see this white circle showing that I didn't save my work. So I can save. Now, let me run it again. Main.js. Oh, not a number. Because I'm trying to add a string and this guy. There's a way we can actually bytecode this, right? Or if I just want to avoid this error, I can easily cut this and put it outside and save it inside a variable. Something like let answer equal to this guy and answer. Then I can come back here and then concatenate it with answer, right? Let me clear the terminal so you can see it properly. I run the code, you can see it here now. The result after the subtraction is equal to 3. This is it. So the same works for multiplication. We have multiplication here. Multiplication, let me comment this guy. So to multiply, I can say, okay, let's answer to multiplication. That's answer to multiplication equal to, I could do x asterisk y. The asterisk is what we use for multiplication, right? I can now do console.log answer to multiplication, right? So if I run this code, now you can see 70. That's it is doing 7 multiplied by 10 to give us the 70. So that's it for multiplication. And then for division, it's still the same logic, right? You could simply do, okay, this is for division. For division, you could simply do console.log something like maybe 10/2. That's 10 divided by 2, right? 10 divided by 2. If you console log, if I run this code, You can see 5 here. Here, right? 5 is here. Okay. So the same work for modulus, but remember modulus returns the remainder, right? For example, if you say, okay, 10 divided by 7, it was going to go one time remainder, 3, right? So let's say maybe I do something like 10 is y, that's y divided by x, y modulus x. So this is for the modulus operator. Could do something like, okay, console.log y modulus x. I save this guy, and then if I run this code, let me clear my terminal. I run the code, you can see returning 3 at the extreme end here. That's 10 divided by 7. That it will go 7 going to 10 ones, and there will be a remainder of 3. So this modulus operator, basically what it does is it returns the remainder. So that's what the modulus operator does. So guys, that is basically it for the basic operations using that for the arithmetical operations. I don't know if anybody has any question regarding this. Any question?
Hello.
If you have a question, can you drop it in the chat section, please?
No question for now, sir.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mary. All right, so let's proceed, right? Okay, so we have looked at the arithmetic operation. So the next is the comparison operators. So basically, JavaScript allows us to compare values and return a Boolean result. Remember yesterday when we were talking about data types, we talk about type Boolean. Type Boolean is just basically a data type which is either true or false. So when you compare two different items, yeah, it's either what you're comparing is strictly equal to, or is equal to the other item, or it is not equal to that other item. So it's either a true or false, right? It's like maybe you're trying to compare, compare something, maybe compare like, maybe like Python and JavaScript based on some certain criteria. So it's either, or maybe compare, okay, let me use simple scenarios. It's either maybe trying to compare 5 and 7. Is 5 equal to 7? No, and no in this case, it means false, right? So it just return a Boolean, which is either a true or a false. Please explain the modulus operation. Okay, you have to explain the modulus operation. So for the modulus, basically what it does is, like we said, it returns the remainder. It's an arithmetic operation that returns a remainder. For example, if you do something like 5 modulus 2, this is like you're trying to ask yourself, ask JavaScript or ask the computer that 2 will go into 5. What's going to be the remainder? We know that 2 can go into 5 2 times, right? And the remainder would be 1, right? So if I run this guy now, I run this code. Let me clear my terminal. You see that the remainder is 1. Okay, what if there is no remainder? Let's say maybe I do something like, for example, 10 divided by 2. 10 divided by 2, there's no remainder. Basically, this modulus returns a remainder. That is just it for modulus, right? So let me clear my terminal again and run the code. You see, there's 0 remainder, nothing is remaining. So that's it for the modulus, right? Okay, I hope that's pretty clear, Jude. So for these comparison operators, we have the equal to, that this equal to, here you're using 2 equal sign. You use the 2 of them, which checks if what is in the left side is equal to what is at the right side. Then we have the not equal to, is what here you're just trying to confirm if what is at the left side is not equal to what is at the right side. Then greater than, we all know what greater than is what is at the left side greater than what's at the right. The same for less. And then this is checking if it is either greater than or equal to, right? So don't worry, let's try out all of these guys too. Let me copy this. And as usual, take it to our VS Code. Then let me paste it here. And then comment it, this multiple line comments. Shift Alt A as usual. I save this guy so that we'll clear, so that all these console logs we did above will not be displaying in our console, right? We can comment this. I'm using the control forward slash. This is a single line comment, right? Yeah, I think that is all, right? So then this is what we're looking at now, equal to. So for the equal to, let me copy this guy, equal to, comment it. So it's like saying that already, we have x above here to be equal to 7, y to be equal to 10, right? So I can come down here and say, okay, something like console.log. Okay, let me give this a variable, right? I can say, okay, let is equal to is equal. Oh no. Okay, let me just go ahead and console log it straight and avoid complications. Console.log x equal to y. So I want to check if x is equal to y, right? So let me clear my console and run the code. You see, it's giving me false. Where is 5 coming from? Okay, yeah, we didn't comment this guy. Comment this guy. Clear it, run it. See, it's giving us, it's false. Yes, and actually 10 is not equal to y, right? So that's it for the not equal, sorry, for the equal to. So now let's confirm, is it true that they are not equal? So now if you want to check if truly they are not equal, you can do something like, okay, console.log x not equal to y. This simply means, oh, is x truly not equal to y? Let's see what the computer will tell us. Run the code. That it is true that x is not equal to y. So the first instance we're saying is x equal to y. Is x, it's like you're saying x is equal to y. This is like you made a statement, x is equal to y. Then the computer now said false, that statement is false, it's not true. They now made another statement that x is not equal to y. Computer now say, yeah, this statement you made now is true. Truly, x is not equal to y, right? Then the other part is the greater than part, right? Let's say we have this guy here, greater than. And so if I do something like, okay, console.log x, I now made the statement x, I see x is greater than y. Let me comment out all these guys above so that they will not obstruct our final output. Let me clear this again. So if I run this code, no, false. It's saying that x is not greater than y. Is that true? Let's check. X, yeah, x is 7, y is 10. So x is not greater than y. But in our statement here, this is statement you're making. The statement is simple. X is greater than y. This is what this is saying, that x is greater than y. The computer will be like, okay, no, false. It's not greater than y, right? So then we still have another, which is the less than, right? This less than here. Less than. So let's paste it, comment it. So let's make another statement. Console.log x less than y. Let's see. Let me clear the terminal, run it. So true, it's saying true, x is truly less than y. So then the other part is greater than or equal to. These are just basic, some sort of mathematical operations, right? And basic common logical reasoning. So if we do something like console.log, so we're saying is x greater or is equal to y. We made a statement that x is either greater or equal to y. So let's see what the computer will tell us if this is true or false. It's saying that it's false, that x is not greater than y. Because remember, x is 7, y is 10, and x is still not equal to y. There are two, this is like adding two conditions, merging two conditions together, right? It's either x, if x is greater than y, we'll return it true. If x is equal to y, it will return it true, right? Let's check the next one, and then I feel maybe the next one will make a little more sense. Less than or equal to, right? Let's comment this guy. If we have something like, okay, console.log, and we say that x is less than or equal to y, we save this guy now. It is true that x is less than y. Now there are two statements here. X is less than y, or x is less than, or x is equal to y. Whichever one that is true, the computer will give us true. In this our case, y is actually 7, less than, sorry, x is 7, y is 10. It is actually less than, x is actually less than y, right? So we should expect a true in this case. Sorry about that. Clear. So if I run it, you can see it's true. Okay, what if it was equal instead? Let me change this from 7 to, let's say I change this guy to 10. Let's come down and run this code again. Before then, let me clear. You see, it's true. It is x is actually equal to y. I don't know if that makes sense. Was that part clear enough?
Yes, sir, it was, sir.
All right, great. Okay, thank you. Jude, is that part clear? Drop a message in the chat. I want to be sure you're following. Nasir, is the part clear? Nelson, does it make sense? In the chat section, Nasir, Nelson, Jude, was that clear enough? Okay. Just a quick mic check. Mary, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, let's proceed then. Okay, yeah, Jude said yes. Okay, all right. Yeah, Nelson also replied yes. All right. So that was it for the comparison operators. Then the next one is the logical operators. I think then this is the last of the operators we'll be dealing with tonight. We have the and, or, and then we have the not. So let me copy this so I'll not forget what we're dealing with. Okay, in our terminal, let me comment this so that it will not appear in our console. So this is what we're dealing with now. If I select this Shift Alt A, right? So now talking about the and, or, and then the not. For example, let's say maybe I write a statement that, or let's continue using the alphabet we're working with, or let me change it here. If I say something, okay, let num1 equal to 30, and then I do something, okay, let num2 equal to 45, right? And then I check, do something like, okay, console.log num1. We know what num1 is. Num1 is 30. So if I say, okay, num1 is greater than 10. You know this is true, right? Please pay careful attention here. If not, you may lose it. You see, it's true. Because actually 30 is greater than 10. But what if I want to add another condition again? Okay, I want to maybe maybe there will be situations where you want to perform a particular task, but you want those two conditions to be true. That's, you want to meet certain criteria before you can perform that that operation, right? So maybe I can also check and norm2 should be greater than 50. Now, maybe a situation where, let's say you're trying to check if your input field, if what the user wrote in the password, maybe that's a registration, for example. Now you design a registration page, and then you have two fields like password, confirm password. I believe that's something we're very conversant with. So at that point in time, the system or that platform expects that what you typed as your password should be the same thing as what you typed as your confirmed password, right? So you are checking that, is what I wrote in the first section equal to what I wrote in the second section, right? So maybe I could have, let me put a third field, for example. Let's say we have, what will I call this? Check car equal to 50, right? 50 for, or let's say, yeah, equal to 40. Let's use 40. So and now say, okay, is number 1 greater than the checker? And number 2, is it also greater than the checker? So I'm trying to check if number 1 is greater than this and number 2 is greater than this. So if 2 of them are all greater than this, then I want to perform some sort of operation. I could now, maybe I'll put a number so that I can even say something that, okay, all the numbers are greater than 40, right? But okay, let's check this. Let's run this code and see the output. If I clear this and I run this, you see it's giving me a false. Why is it giving me a false? Because number 1 is 30 and 30 is not greater than checker. Remember, checker is 40. So once one of the side result to a false, the whole operation becomes false. For you to, in using and here, right, both sides must be true and true. Because this side is, let me cut out this side, you see, Command X, let me clear this. Let's say I run this code. You see, this is false. Num1 greater than checker. Num1 is 30. Is 30 greater than 40? No. 30 is not greater than 40. That's why you have this false, right? Then but the other side, if you check the other side, let's check the other side. Oh. Let's check this side. Clear. If I run my code, see, this one is giving me true, right? 45 is actually greater than checker because checker is 40. But by the time you say that, okay, by the time you use this AND operator in between these two conditions, you want this side to be true and this side also to be true before you can perform a particular operation. Okay, for example, now let me change this num1 from 30 to, let's say, 50. Now it is true that num1 is greater than this and num2 is greater than this. So the output in this case now is going to be true. Let me run it, you see. See, this is now true because both sides are true. If you're using AND, both sides must be true before you can get a true value. Let me take that again. If you're using this AND operation, right, the both side, that's the left side and the right side, must be true before you can get a true value, right? But if you're using OR, once any of the side is true, once any of the side is true, you're going to get a true output.
Sorry, sir. I was cut off before this particular session started. I tried to connect. I am not following.
Okay. All right. Okay, just stay closely. You definitely catch it. Just pay keen attention. So basically, what we're talking about for the AND is, right? For the AND, if you're using this AND operator, for you to get a true value, right? To get a true, the both side must be true. That this side must be true, and this other side too must evaluate to a true before this will give us true. That's AND. It's like, okay, let me bring it to a typical life scenario, right? Let's say you send somebody to the market to buy you maybe some jollof rice and chicken, right? Some jollof rice. And the condition is, if the jollof rice, if the jollof rice is equal to 1,000, the price of the rice alone is equal to 1,000, the person should buy it. If the chicken is equal to 1,500, the person should buy it. You now give the person 2,500. Now the person went to the market, and he should make sure he should buy rice. Sorry, yeah, buy the rice and the chicken. He shouldn't just buy rice, or he shouldn't just buy you chicken. What you want is rice and chicken, but you give 2,500. On reaching the market, if the rice is 1,000, the person will buy it. So the rice now is 1,000, which means that condition number one is true. The chicken is 1,500. Condition number two is true. So hence the both conditions are true. The person now can buy you rice and chicken because the two conditions are met, right? But a situation whereby the person now on reaching the market, the jollof rice is not 1,000, but 1,200. One condition has failed. So in that case, the person is not going to buy you the food again. So when you said and, it means that the two conditions must be true, right? That's number one must be greater than checker, and number two must be greater than the checker. If now num one is, for example, 10, in this case now num one is less than the checker, the result is going to be false. Let's run the code. You see, it's false because one condition has already failed. I hope that makes sense. All right. Then when you're talking about or, for example, now, or simply means if maybe you reach the market and discover that the rice is more than 1,000, yeah, you can still buy me food to eat, but this you can just buy the chicken. I'll still eat. It's still food for me, right? Or if you reach the market and discover that the chicken is more than 1,500, just buy only the rice. Just buy the food. I'll still eat it. That's an or statement. Once one of the condition is true, you're going to get it true. If both conditions are still true, you're still going to get it true. But once just one of them, if one fails, another checks true, you're still going to get a true as an output. If both of them check, it's still a plus for you, you're still going to get a true as an output. But and is strict, and is saying that all of them must happen. If any of them fail, then forget it, it's false. But or is saying that if one person just check it, once one condition checked through, then it's fine. Let's go. So now let's say, okay, now that 10, you see 10, this num one is 10. Is 10 greater than checker? False. But if we now change this guy, let me copy this same code, this same command, paste it down, and change this from and to or. The or, you make use of this pipe. The pipe, sorry, I changed my system. Okay, yeah, this is it, the pipe.
Pipe factorial.
Sorry?
Factorial or pi?
Pi. Pipe.
Okay.
This is a pipe.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So for all, you make use of this pipe, right? So let me run this code. Before then, let me clear my terminal. Let me remedy. Let me mute it. It's echoing from my end. Okay, it's fine now. All right. So now if I run this code, I run it, you now see that this first one gave us a false because this side of the condition failed. But the second one gave us a true because in as much as this side failed, this side is still true. Because num2 is 45 and it is greater than checker, which is 40. That is just it for all, right? Then the other part is now the not. The not. This not basically is used to negate, right? It's just used for negation. Let's say maybe if I do something like console.log, maybe let me have a boolean here. Meanwhile, let me comment out this guy so that it will not mess things up in the console for us. Let's say I have something like instead of having play, let me just change this back to okay, all right. Let's checker 2, for example, equal to true, right? Checker 2 is true, right? So if I just console log checker 2, let me clear the terminal, clear, let me run this guy. You see it's true. But immediately I just put this exclamation sign at the beginning. And I save this code. Let me clear so that it will not obstruct. And I run it, see it's false. It only negates, like if you want to change something from true to false, or you want to change something from false to true, it negates like the opposite. Yeah, good. It's like the opposite of what is in existence. So checker 2 is true, but once I put this exclamation mark, checker 2 now becomes false. So as mean checker 2 was false, for example here. So as mean this guy was false and not true. Let me clear up. Why I'm here, we can actually keep running the code, it will work fine. But why I usually clear so that you'll not be seeing plenty true and false, and then it will start causing some sort of confusion, right? That's why I cleared it, and right, so we can see fresh output, right? So if I run this code now, you can see it is true. It is true. But remember, checker 2 is not true, it is false. You now use this negation to change, to negate, to bring out the opposite of it. It's like the opposite. So what's the opposite of male, female? Something like that. So that's just it for these operators, these logical operators. I want to believe that makes sense. If you have any question, ask before we move to the next item. Okay, I want to believe that there's no question. Okay, Mary, want to ask a question? Hello, Mary. Can you hear me? Sorry, your voice is breaking. It's echoing.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, it's making sense. I'm catching it.
Okay, I got it. Okay, that's fine then. Let's proceed then. Okay, thank you. All right, so that's just it for the logical operators. Please explain more the OR operator. Okay, Jude said I should explain the OR. OR is just simple, pretty straightforward, right? All what OR is saying is, okay, let me bring it back to the basic scenario I was trying to paint earlier. Let's say if you go to the market, what I actually need is rice and chicken. I don't know why I'm saying rice and chicken. Is it because I'm hungry? All right, what I actually need is rice and
I'm
chicken.
sending you rice.
Please, I will appreciate. So what I basically need is rice and chicken, but I gave you 2,500. So, but the condition now is, if you reach the market and the price of rice is still 1,000, buy the rice for me. If chicken is 1,500, buy the both of them for me. But on reaching the market, and now you discover that rice is not 1,000, you now decided to buy the chicken for me. That's still fine by me. Because I said, even if the price of one is too high, you can buy the other one for me. It's okay by me, right? So, or basically, once one fails, but another one checks true, the final result is true. If everything, maybe you are testing like 5 different conditions, 5 different items on a row, all of them failed except one checked through, it means, okay, the final result is true. Something should be true. Something has to be true. Once one thing is true for all, then the final result is true. But for and, all of them must be true. All of them must be true. If one of them fails, then the result, everything has failed.
And 25% in FCT.
Don't worry about that. So that's for and, right? But for all is once, if you want to fail everything, but once there's a check somewhere, it means you have passed. Okay, maybe let me use maybe like you sit for an exam, you write 5 papers, and the condition is you must pass all the 5 of them before you can be promoted to the next class. If you fail any one, you are not going to be promoted. So once you fail, you pass 4, you fail just 1, you are not going to be promoted. That's the condition. But the all now says, if one fail 4, pass, once you pass any one at all, you should be promoted. That's all. That one thing has to be true. That is just basically it for all. I hope that makes sense. Please, if it does not, drop a message in the chat section so we can still look at it again.
I want to ask a question on this OR operator.
Okay.
It's well explained and I understand very well. But now my question is, like, if the two options, like the rice is for 1,000 and the chicken is for 1,500, will it indicate the ones that are false and the ones that are right when we run it together?
Is it for all?
Yes, for all, sir.
Okay, for all now, right? Okay. Let me still bring it down to the grassroots. For all, remember for all is that once one thing, maybe using that exam situation, you wrote 5 papers. If you want to fail 4, once you pass 1, you should be promoted. Okay, but lucky enough, you just decided you've now passed 5 of them all. You are still going to be promoted. So it does. Now, the thing is, the all does not care if any of them failed. It is not going to show you anyone that failed. But once there's one thing that checked, oh yeah, let's go. That's all. It's not going to show you maybe the ones that failed. I don't know maybe if I got the question clearly. But what is checking out for is there is a pass. It is just looking, what all is looking for in your code is on that particular condition is there's a true, there's a pass. Once it just encounter one pass, it just moves straight that, oh, this person has passed, it should be promoted. So if they are all pass, fine, you're going to be promoted. If there are 2 pass, still promoted, but there should be a pass. That's just it. But if all of them fail, that's where all now fail the person.
Okay, that's clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, but okay.
Question here.
Okay.
Can you turn back to the code?
Oh, okay. This.
Question number 1, because I was away while you started this particular, the checker, is it a default language for comparing the two
No.
alternatives.
No, it's just a variable. We just called it
Sir?
check. It is just a variable. We just
Okay.
gave it this name, checker. And then we are trying to
Okay.
compare each of these values. It's just a variable.
Okay.
Mm.
Where you use like the last two code, let checker 2 equals to false, then console log. Then that checker was not given that we don't from that checker, we don't have checker 1, checker 2 as our
No.
variable.
This one too is just a variable. You can call it any name. I can call it result, right? I can call it anything, right?
Okay.
And then I can call this place result. It's a variable.
It's okay. All right, let's continue.
All right. So why I just gave this 2 is because already I have checker here and I can't name this variable checker again. JavaScript will flag it. See, let me take it out. You can see, right? So I just gave it that 2 to create some sort of distinction. All right, so the next thing we'll be looking at is the conditional statement. Like I said, we'll just be looking at the if condition. So this conditional statement basically allows us to execute different code blocks based on certain conditions. Now we want to perform an operation based on a particular condition, right? Just like what we are trying to explain, I was trying to explain manually then, right? So this like maybe temperature, trying to check temperature of the day, for example, right? So it could be like, okay, let temperature equal to 28. This is a variable. Temperature is a variable, and this is the value 28. Now we're checking, this is the syntax. If then you now put your condition inside this bracket, followed by this curly bracelet. Okay, let me go to the code and be writing and be explaining, instead of showing you code that has already been written. That's why most times I don't prepare slides, because I feel like, okay, let me be showing you what is happening. Okay, let's clear this guy. Let me run this code if there's anything. Okay, there's something I see console log. Where is that coming from? Getting that true. Oh, I didn't save. That's why. Okay, I saved now. Clear. So if I run this code, see nothing came up because there's nothing being console logged. So now for the conditional statement, right? So this is conditional statement. And here we're talking about if else, right? So let's say maybe we have the example we're trying to look at. Let's say we have let temperature, right? That let the temperature equal to 28. Am I right? Yes, 28. So we're saying that if temperature is greater than 30, then we should say that it is hot outside. But if temperature is greater than 20, okay, it's a pleasant day. Else, it's a bit chilly. I don't like that example I gave there. Let's do something more realistic. Okay, let me say we have something like let student grade. Let student grade equal to let's say 40. So now I want to write a condition that if student grade is greater, you understand greater, or it is equal to 70. That's what the student score 70 equal to me. He scored actually 70. Greater than means he scored more than 70. That's if the student score from 70 upward, what you should do is console.log grade A, for example, right? Else console.log student did not score an A. Save this guy. So we're saying here that this is where we put our condition if, right? This is an if-else statement. If this thing should fail, then the other part should run. If this is true, then this should run, right? So let me run this code. You see, student did not score an A because student score is 40. So let's say I make this thing 80, for example, right? Let me run this code again. You see, grade A, because what he scored is greater than 70. Okay, what if he scored exactly 70? Let me run the code. Grade A still, because the condition is greater or equal to 70. So, but you can still extend these conditions further, right? That's where you can have something like maybe if else if, sorry, please let me grab it on top. Okay, thank you. Back. So now you can actually extend this if, because okay, what if I want to check for B, for C, and the likes? So we can have else if, right? So here now it's okay. If the student grade is now let's say, okay, I want to put two conditions. Is now greater than 60, right? If it is greater than 60, then what should be the condition? Console.log grade E. But this condition is not appropriate. Okay, let me say greater than or equal to 60, right? So which means if the student scores 60, it means the student grade is going to be equal to B, right? So, but we can make this condition a bit tight. So that, okay, what if the grade now is 70? Okay, this first part runs, right? Once it is 60 and upward, this part run. So we can even extend it so that it now want to set some sort of boundary that's from 60 to 70, right? So I can do something like, okay, greater, if it scores from 60 or what is called or grade, grade is less than or equal to 69. So I've set some sort of boundary.
No, that's not the operator for us, sir.
Sorry?
Is that the operator for us, sir?
I didn't catch that. You said what?
You put and operator instead of call operator.
Yes, thank you, right? Or, great. Or. Shoot, this is all right. Okay, so now if the student scores 60, 61, 62, 63, up to 69, the grade should be B. This should happen. But if this does not happen, or this should happen, right? So if we run this guy now, let's clear this. Hit enter. Grade B, right? A, because it got this. Okay, what if it was a 60? A 60, you now see a grade B. What if it was a 69? A 69, you now still see a grade B because it still falls within this limit. Okay, what if I want to check for C? It means I can still go further. Else if student grade, if it's called, let's say if his grade is greater than or equal to 50, right? But it is less than Okay, I'm coming back to you, Mary. There's something you said earlier that I accepted, but I think what we're trying to do to still work. Okay, less than or equal to 59, right? Then I could do something like console.log, this is read C, right? Now, okay, so if this works or this works, it's going to give us a C, right? But if I put and, maybe it's still going to work. Do you know why it's still going to work? Because let's say this number, for example, 69. 69 is here. 69 is actually greater than 60. So if 60, this is 69, it is greater than 60. So this part of the condition is met. And then 69 is equal to, because remember it's greater or equal to, is equal to 69. So this will still work. So assuming this was, let's say maybe 66, for example, 66 is greater than 60. So this part is true. And remember, both sides must be true, right? And 66 is less than 69. So this part is also true. So if we run the code, let's clear this guy and run it. See, give us a grade of B. It worked. So as me, it was 69. And then 69, we run it. You still see a grade of B. Yes, the or to is still going to work, but this makes it a bit more tighter that both sides has to be true. Both sides must be true. So basically, that's just how the if else. So now to conclude it, or you don't leave this with else if, right? So the last concluding part of it is an else, which is like the default, right? So now basically what we're checking is we're only checking for grade A, B, and C. So if the students score below 50, we can say, okay, console.log student scored below, let's say below a C, right? So this is the default. If any of what this means is if any of these conditions above here did not work, then this should just true, right? So because, okay, what if now we are checking now, what if a student score just 1? All right, let's run the code and see. Student scored below a C. If he score just 10, student scored below C. If he scores 90, student score grade of A. Let me make an error. If he score 101, students grade A, but we don't want to have that, right? So we can now even make this tight again, and student grade should be less than or equal to 100. So now we not create any room for this, right? So if we want to even make, we can even write a condition that if anything happening, or okay, maybe I could still write something like, okay, let me make this still look a bit better. We can change this to if else and say something like, okay, if student grade is less than, okay, is let's see, what is equal to 0. If that's if the student score is equal to 0, or student score is less than or equal to 49. That's if the student scores 0, right? Student score below C. It means this is what we should get. Or if the students score anything below 49, less than 49, you should give us this. Let me show you what we're trying to achieve. let's say the student score 1. Let me clear this guy up. Student score below C, right? If he scores 0, student score below C. So our final S, now don't when I put this S, you see why I did that. Else, which is our default, I could do okay, console.log enter a valid score. Why did I do this? What if somebody come here now and put -1 in my code? -1, what should happen? That's what I'm trying to avoid. I'll now tell you that, oh, okay, equal to 0. Oh, because it is less than this. Okay. That's why this happened, right? Okay, what if you now score 100? We can see, let's try and fix that. Okay, this is 100. 100 works fine. 102. 102, what happened to 102? 102 is an invalid score. So I say, okay, you should enter a valid score because we are not grading 102. So we can see adjust this so that if we put this -1, -1, we can see cater for that somewhere here. We can add, yeah, maybe I could even add another else if. I'm just doing, this is not really a good convention, right? But I'm just trying to approach it very basic. So I can put the condition here that if student grade, right, is, I would have saved that called, I should have called that student score instead of student grade. Okay, if student grade is less than 0, right? Is less than 0, then give me this. Else, okay, I can still repeat this guy, right? Let me copy this and put it here. I can say, okay, score. Here I can say, okay, score cannot be a negative number, right? And then I save this. So if somebody come here now, say, okay, I scored -1, and then you run the code, and then I'll tell you that, okay, this is still misbehaving. This is where my error is coming from. Here. Okay, let me change this guy to, okay, greater than or equal to 0, and I think that should solve our problem. Great. Score cannot be a negative number. So the condition now is if the score is greater or it is equal to 0, and this, right? And it is less than 49. You see, now if I change the score to just 1, for example, and I save it, and I run this guy, you see student score below is C. This is what is running. So once you score from 0 to 49, this is what you're going to get. But if you impute a negative score, then I'll tell you that score cannot be negative. If you impute anything that is more than 100, I'll tell you that you should enter a valid score. Right? So this is just, okay, if this side is true and this side is true, then print this guy, console.log grade A. If this side is true, this is true, and all that. So if none of these conditions above here works, then do this. Was that too much? Remedy, are you still there? Can we proceed?
Okay. Sam.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, Remedy, I can hear you.
Like in terms of grading a score, a student score. This code like this, Is there any simpler way or shorter way of like combining the code in a just make it a line code or a one sentence code, like just ranging it just as you are doing, and like from 0 to 30 A. If a student scores 0, or a student scores 0, is score greater than 0 but less than 39, less than 40, grade equals to F,
There's a you can make
like
use
that.
of this. Now the thing is, there's another conditional statement called switch. This switch. Switch helps us to avoid the use of as if, as if, as if, as if. This is not really a good convention, having plenty as if. If you're to have multiple as if, then you should go for switch. But yeah, it may not make so much sense now if I try to use it, right? I understand, but maybe a one-liner as you be asking, even in a normal scenario, right? Normal, general, logic scenario, you don't even write one sentence that caters for grading, do you? You say something like, if you want to, okay, grade it manually, even writing, like speaking, telling someone in English, right? You can still say, if his child score greater than 70, then give the child A. But if he now score from 60 upward, that's, you're trying to say it, just normal saying it as using words. You're still not making one single sentence. But if there's a way you can say all that as a single sentence, then it's going to be possible to convert it to a one-line code. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Yes.
So the thing is, don't look at programming to be some sort of an abstract thing. Look at it to be like the same way you talk to people. That's how you're talking to computer. Just that this time around, you're writing it in form of code. It's just the same way you talk to people. That's how you're talking to the computer. So anything you feel in the real world can happen in a single space or single line, that's still applicable to the world of computing. Right? So basically, that's just it for this conditional statement. So we have loops and then functions. That was where I wanted us to stop. Loops, right? I don't know, before I jump into this guy, I don't know if anyone has a question again. No, I guess. Nelson. Okay, the thing is, you have just go through what this video later, maybe after this call, I'll try to drop it on YouTube and then share the link. Watch it again and again and then try to practice it out. It will make sense. Trust me. It will definitely make sense.
Yeah.
It will make sense. Okay, so then we'll be looking at loops. So for loops in JavaScript, loops basically allows us to, it's like you want to repeat something. I don't mean functions, yeah. Loops, right? They allow us to repeat a block of code multiple times. Let's say, okay, maybe, for example, now, I want to do something like, this. Let me comment this. Remember using our multiple comment, Shift or A, right? So let's say maybe I want to write number console.log 1, then console, and then I want to print this in my console, like, okay, this is 2. Okay. Then this is 3. Okay, let's say I want to write these numbers down to 100. Will I keep doing that? Let's run that code. You see 1, 2, 3, right? And this was what we did, console log 1, console log 2, console log 3. No, right? So, but a situation where I just want to write maybe some few lines of code that helps me generate these numbers automatically, that's where loops comes into play, right? So, and then here I just brought out for and while loops. Yes, trust me, that we have the do while loop And yeah, we have other loops basically you can still make use of, right? But these are like maybe some of the common day-to-day usage, right? But like I said, I'll still prepare some of those materials and then share with you, which comprise virtually some of those other things I've mentioned, but we didn't really get to do them because of time factor, right? Yeah, although I was still planning some comprehensive, I was planning a comprehensive JavaScript class for maybe those that may want to enroll, which may span across up to a month or 2 months, where we'll talk about JavaScript in details, like in depth of it, in and out of enough of it to put you out there on the go, right? So maybe if something that interests you, you could hit me and then maybe I'll add you up. We'll see how we proceed from there. So basically, about loops, the for loops. So this is just a basic for loop that helps you generate numbers, right? So it begins with let, and you already will know what let is. I is just a variable, so you're only initializing it. This is but you're saying that the initial value of I should be 0, right? And then you want this thing to be, should stop this like a condition here. You initialize, this is a condition, and then this is an operation that, okay, I should at no instance be greater than or equal to 5, because what you said there is I is less than 5. I should always be less than 5. Then at this point is the action part of it, right? The action part of it here means like I plus plus simply means I increment. We are adding, increasing I by 1. Then you now console log I. So, okay, let me show you how that works in code. Let's see, we'll do something like, okay, for, remember this is a for loop, right? It first begins with the initialization. You say, okay, I should be equal to 0. That's the initial value of I is equal to 0, right? So that's the end of that command. Remember, we talked about semicolon, right? But now the condition is saying that I should be less than 5. If you want to stop at exactly 5, I can say, okay, I should be equal to 5. Right? Then we'll now say, okay, this I increment. Let me console log. Don't worry, I'll explain it again if that doesn't make sense. Console log I, for example, batik. Let me clear my terminal and then run the code. You see, we have 0 to 5. So this is what is happening. This is a condition. This is the condition, like we said. So what's happening is the first value of I, we said the initial value of I is 0. If I say this to be 1, it means my numbering is going to start from 1 and not 0, right? You see, from 1 to 5. Because I said the initial value of I is 1. So now it will come and check, is I less than or equal to 5? Remember, I is 1. So it's at this point it's 1, right? Is 1 less than 5? Yes, it is true. It now says, okay, true. It will now print it 1. After printing it, to run this increment, this plus plus, that's I plus 1. Now I become 2. It come and check this condition. Is 2 less than 5? Yes, it will now print it. So you have 2 here. Then it will increment again. Now it's like a loop, right? Remember, it's a loop, repetition, right? It will increment again. I plus 1, 3, right? To come and check, is 3 less than or equal to 5? Yes, 3 is less than 5. It will print it. So it has printed 3. It will come back again and increase 3 plus plus, which means 3 plus 1, 4, right? It will check, is 4 less than 5? Yes. Then it will now console log, which is print, right? To print the 4. Come back again and add plus plus. That's 5. It will come and check the condition. Is 5 less than, sorry, is 4 less than or equal to 5? Yes, to now print it. So we have 4 here, right? So 4, from 4 back again to increment 5. You come and check, is I less than 5? No, but I is equal to 5. Remember, this condition is equal to, right? less than or equal to. So now that I is equal to 5, it is so good. It is true, so it will print. Then to come back again, it's not going to break yet. To come back and increment 6, then you check the condition. Is 6 less than 5? No, that's false. Is 6 equal to 5? False. So the code now breaks and stop executing at this point. So this is your condition. This is where you set your initial value, and then this is where you perform an operation, right? So this is basically just how the for loops work. Any question? Was that clear enough?
It's fair enough.
All right, great. Okay, let's proceed. Maybe welcome back. We lost you at some point. I think our network is bad. I think your network is bad. We can't hear you. All right, don't worry. Just
She's
drop
just coming.
just drop a
Voices.
message in the chat. Okay, just drop a message in the chat. Sorry. Just drop a message in the chat. We can hear you. All right. So basically that's just it for the for loop, right? Then the while loop. The while loop. Why is this thing dancing? Okay, the while loop. Basically, while what's happening is you place your condition here that while this thing is true, what is inside this curly bracelet should execute, right? Okay, let's say maybe let me show us in the code. We could have something like, okay, maybe we want to still generate these numbers now, but this time let me generate it from 6 to 10, right? I could do something, okay, let's number equal to, let number equal to 6, for example. And then I can do something like, okay, why my condition is here, if that condition is true, what is inside this curly bracelet should happen. So what's my condition? Once number is less than or equal to 10, as long as number is less than or equal to 10, print the number in the console. Console.log number, right? So after you print it, I want you to just add it. Add 1 to it, right? So the thing now, I want to generate a series of numbers, right? So if I run this code, you see, okay, it started from this 1 to 5. This is where it's coming from. Let me comment this guy so that you can see this clearly. Let me clear this guy. Let me run the code again. Now see 6, right? Because number is 6. So you now check, is 6 less than 10? True. It will print it. It will now add plus, that's +1 to run this code again, because it's a loop, so it will keep repeating until it breaks to run this code again. So this time around, number is 7 because of this increment. Is 7 less than 10? Yes, it will print 7. That's print 7 here. It will add 1, 8. Is 8 less than 10? Yes, it will print it, add 1. We have 9. Is 9 less than 10? Yes, it will print it. It will add 1. Becomes 10 now. Is 10 less than 10? No, but 10 is equal to 10. So it will print it. Add 1. The next now is 11. Is 11 less than 10? No. Is it equal to 10? No. It will now break the code at 10. So that's it for the while loop. Does that make sense? Yep, I want to believe that's pretty clear enough. The recordings will always be provided, so you can always fall back to them, right? In case if there's any concern. So finally for today, we'll talk about functions. So functions basically is just a way to group your code that can be that you can reuse again, right? Or executed as many times as possible. So basically, it's like you just trying to, instead of trying to repeat the same thing all over again, maybe you're working, you wrote, maybe I did, maybe you did this loop somewhere on top here, right? And then I still need it at some point down in my code. Then instead of me to rewrite this thing all over again, it's best you just put it inside the function, right? So that anytime you call that function, the code executes. Anytime you call the function, the code runs again, right? So for example, maybe in declaring your function, you begin with the keyword function. It usually begins with this keyword function here. Sorry, give me a minute. Just a minute. Yeah, but if you have any question about the loop, please let me know. What about the document.write statement in a loop? We did not use it. Okay, Jude is asking, what about the document.write statement in a loop? You did not use it. Document.write is a method, a JavaScript method that enables you to write, just as the word is, write in the browser or write anything, anywhere, or write in a document, right? So basically, you want to write something in a document, not like it's part of a loop. You just want to maybe do some sort of writing on the document or in the document a particular number of times. So let's say I want to document or write something. I want to write something in a document, right? That's in your HTML file now, for example, right? I'll use document.write inside the loop so that I can be writing that thing over and over and over and over again, right? As long as the loop is running. But what we are doing here, what we did here rather, we didn't write anything on any document. We have been using our console here to do all to print all our results. So at this point, we don't even need the document.write. It is just a JavaScript method that enables you to write whatever you want to write on the document. And the document, in this case, the HTML file. So not like we need it or it's a mandatory that you have to use it. It just depends on a particular use case, right? Jude, I don't know if that's clear with you, or you have some concerns you still want me to address. So just know that JavaScript document.write is a method, right? A JavaScript method.
Please, can you just retweet this function a little, please?
Function, right? Okay, basically, yeah, we are still talking about function, right? So basically what I was trying to say is that in JavaScript functions, right, they are just a way you group codes that can be reused, right? You want to use the code again, you just group it and then reuse it again. And then how to define your function. JavaScript allows us to define function in different ways. There are different ways you can actually define functions, right? And then that calls for the different types of JavaScript. Most times PC they address it as different types of functions, arrow function. But for short, it's just, if a function is a function, whatever, it's just that there are different ways you can define your function, right? You can address your function, you can write your function. But we are actually not going into that, but I'll still prepare material and send to us that cover all of that details. But for starters, right, this is like the basic way you can declare your function. You begin with, in declaring function, it begins with this keyword called function here. Let me annotate on my screen. So it begins with this keyword function. This keyword is is a JavaScript reserved word. So when your code see this function keyword, you understand that, oh, what you're trying to do, you're trying to declare a function. Then the next thing is followed by the name of the function, right? So this greet is just the name you want to call this function. It's just like the same way you make use of let to declare a variable, right? You now say let in the beginning, followed by the name of the variable. So in writing functions, you begin with the keyword function, followed by the name you want to give the function, right? Then you have this parenthesis. You now have this parenthesis, this bracket here, right? And then this bracket here now holds this a word here, and this thing holding here is what is being referred to as parameters. And these parameters basically they are just like values that we want to use inside of our functions. Whatever we want to use inside our function, right? We'll now put it here. These are what refers to as parameters. Then you have this curly bracelet here, opening and then closing here. So this is our function body. So you write whatever code you want to write inside your function here. Then they also have another keyword called return. This return is another keyword, right? I'll go into my VS Code and then show you the use of this return. And when you do not use it, what happens when you do not use it, right? So, but basically the return keyword is used to just to end the execution of a function. And then return a specific value, right? So you want to, at this point, once your JavaScript runs your function and then encounters this return, it's going to bring out what you want it to return, right? And then terminate that code at that point. Any other thing you write outside of that return is not going to execute it. We're definitely going to see all of that. But yeah, there are some situations again whereby you may not put this return keyword. Yeah, your code, your function will run, it will work fine, but JavaScript always return a default. Now, at that point, JavaScript will return a default value, which is undefined. Like it's going to still return something for you. It will return an undefined. All right, so let me just launch. Let's see what this function is basically all about in VS Code, right? Let me comment this. Shift-A for multiple line comments, and then clear this guy up. And then let's have this. All right, so to write our function, like we said, you first begin with the function keyword. Let's say maybe I just want to write a function that greets somebody, right? So the name of my function will be like, okay, maybe greet. So I want to make use of, maybe I want to collect that person's name, right? And then say a message, right? That's where you can put a parameter, but still not like every function must have a parameter, right? There are some times where you are not expecting anything outside. You just want this function. Maybe I just want this function to do something like, okay, maybe let a equal to 8, and then maybe I want something like let b equal to 2, for example. Then I can now do something like, okay, maybe I can still go further and say let answer equal to a multiplied by b, and then I now do something like, okay, return answer. Okay, then there's another thing called function call. That's you invoke the function. If you do not call the function, let's say I run this code, nothing is going to happen. I run this code. You see, nothing happened because I didn't call this function. So until you invoke the function, right? Let me put console.log I want to put it in console.log so we can see it will return a value, right? So the name of the function is greet. So to invoke your function, you now see put this parenthesis, right? So let's run this now. You see 16. It now multiplied this by this and then returned the answer. So what if I had not put this return keyword? Let me save this guy. Let me clear this and run the code. You see, return, like I said, it will always return something. Even if you do not use this, it return an undefined. So a situation where it did not return anything, it's going to return an undefined. And you see the answer was not even brought out. So, but if you want the answer to be returned, so now it's okay, return the answer for me, right? So we do this 16. Now let me show you something again. Okay, let me clear the terminal. Okay, about the return keyword, like I said, anything that comes after this return is not going to work. Let me show you something. Let's say we have something here like maybe console.log hello, right? Let me put another console.log here, console.log message, and let me say hi. And then let me run this. You see, hello is here, it came, hi came, return 16, which is the final answer came, and then the code broke, right? So what if I now change the position from this guy, cut it out from that place, and I paste it here? And then run the same code again. Before I run, let me clear the screen so you can see. Let me run this code. You see hello came out. 16, which is in return, came out, but hi did not come out because this is after this return keyword. Anything after the return is not going to work. It's not going to come out from your function. So like I said from earlier, the return, it's like mapping or marking that, it's like some sort of it's like some sort of a benchmark, right? A point where you say that, okay, this is the end of this function. It marks, the return basically marks the end of execution of a function. Anything, if you want to write all the bunch of code, everything you want to write after this return is not going to come out, right? But what if you want to return multiple things? You can actually return multiple items, right? Let's say maybe I want to return, okay, let's say maybe if I even do something like console.log, let's say console.log a here. You know, it's not going to work, right? Let me clear up 16. See, A didn't print out. But if I drop this guy here, for example, paste it. Remember, A is 8, right? So we are expecting 8 now. You see hello 8 and this guy. So what if I want to return all of them? I could even use some sort of bracket now. And then see, I want you to return A and B. So you see, I'm returning A and B, all of them on the same line. Because of my code formatted, see, ideally, this was what I wrote. You can use 2 of these guys and then return everything you want inside, it will work. But if I save it, it restructured it like this for me because, yeah, it's the prettier that's doing that for me. Like I explained to you guys the use of it earlier. So if I run this guy now, see, it has returned A, which is 8, B, which is 2. So if I still want to return the result, let me clear up this. I still want to return the result, comma, result, I save it, and then I run this. Sorry, did I save? Okay, I think where are we? See, it's that. Okay, yes, this is fine. Clear. and then I run the code. You see A is this, B is 2, result is 20. So this is it. I now return it as an object. So, but the key thing I want you guys to take is, in writing your functions, it begins with this, followed by the name of the function, this guy here now, right? So now let's say if I want to write a function that greets somebody, right? Shift, let me comment out this guy. I think, and then we're going to stop after this function. All right, okay, function read, or let me see function say hi. Then I want to say hi to somebody's name. I want to be collecting the person's name, and then I could return something like let me hold it in here. Select greeting equal to put hello followed by the person plus. Remember this concatenation, we talked about that. The name, this concatenation space.
Is it greeting or say hi? Let's say hi, or is it greeting?
This is just the name of the function, right? Say hi is the name I gave the function. So I could say, okay, hello name, welcome to the type of the training, right? So once I put this return, it means that's the end of my function, right? So now I can, let me put I can put all of this function inside another variable. I can say, okay, let's greet equal to say hi. So this is function invoke. So now I have to return, let me return this greeting, right? So if I pass in a variable here, for example, I pass in, somebody's name, my name, for example, and then I run console.log. Basically, I want to print this guy now, greet. Let me clear my terminal, and then I run this code. You see, hello Samuel, welcome to day 5 of the training. This is where I put my name, but I can put any name here. Say, okay, say hi to Remedy for me. Now run this command. You now see, hello Remedy, welcome to day 5 of this training. I remove this as okay. Say hi to Nelson, and then I run this code. Now see, hello Nelson, welcome to. So it's actually these are parameter, right? So anytime I call this function and then I pass in somebody's name, is going to print. All right, Nelson, unmute and shoot.
Okay, the whole of this saying hi to Samuel, say hi to Nelson, they came after the return.
Yes.
After you've written that. So why are they now showing that command?
See, I now
question.
Okay.
Okay, second question. Can this return be written more than once? If yes, will it obey the command? Like in a situation where we've written return for the first time, and then there are other things we are written, other functions that we wrote later on, and then probably we forgot to have written that return later, now write another return. Will it obey?
Okay, basically, right? And let me start from the second one. Every function should have a return keyword, and you can only have one return in a function. That's let's say maybe I write another function. I can put every function. Each time I'm writing a function, I'm returning something, right? But you can have only one return. That's, you can have another, maybe some sort of return here again. This is not right. In fact, this immediately encounter this first return is going to ignore this last line completely. You know, like I said earlier, return is like the end of the it marks the end of the function declarations, the function block of code, basically, right? That's like, okay, run from the top. When you encounter return, that's where the code end. It marks the end of execution of a function. So even if you write 20 returns after the first return, it's not even going to see it. Because once it encounters this first one, you already say, okay, this is the end. I leave this block. It now leaves this completely. But if you are writing another function, you can still write return. One thing you should also remember is if you not even put return, it is still going to return something for you, but this time it's not what you want to return. It will give you. Let me run this code. You see, we have commented out the return, right? If you run it, you see undefined. It will always return an undefined, but it didn't print out the result. Okay, I think the first question you're asking why it still brought out the output in as much as we wrote it before the return. This greeting. This is a variable name, right? We now said everything. We want everything here. Remember variables like we explained in our past session. That was yesterday, I guess. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think so. No, it wasn't yesterday. Yeah, in our last session when we talked about variables. Remember I said variables that are more like containers. They're like a box. It's like, okay, I now say there's a box called greeting. All this writing, put it inside this box. So return the box. So this function, when I call this function and then I pass in the name, when I call this function, say hi, and then I put somebody's name inside, this place where I call the person name, put it here. Hello, that person's name. Welcome to day 5 of this class. All of this message, put it inside this box called greeting, and then return that box to me. That's show me what is inside the box. That's what return simply means here. Show me what is inside the box. So I now come outside and invoke that function here, right? This is invoke. You call the function by the name and then announce, okay, this function, welcome Nelson. It will now say, okay, name Nelson, right? So hello, name. What is name? Name that is coming in is Nelson. It will now replace his name with Nelson. Hello, Nelson. Welcome to day 5. So every function has only one return. You can't have more than one return in a function, right? Then this is just a variable. It's like a box that holds all of this writing. Then when it return, it now return that box to me. Show me what is inside the box. Console.log here means print it, that thing. Okay, as you're bringing back the box to me, print it in the console. So it's now print, okay. It's now print out this message, right? Okay, what did I comment? Okay, I need to save this. Save this. And I run this code, you now see, hello, Nelson, welcome to day 5. It gathered everything inside the box, return it to me, and then show me in the console. I don't know if that explanation was able to answer your questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it did. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, so any other question before we wrap up? Because this will mark the end of our today's section. I don't know if there's any other question. Remedy, we are good, right? Judith?
Yeah. I'm trying to just comprehend this function, but I think I can grab it better.
Yeah, the thing is, just need to go over it again and practice. Trust me, this is like the basic from normal regular condition, regular function, right? Just need to go over it and practice.
Yeah.
I was not born with this thing.
I think I can grab it. I still remember it.
I was not born with this thing. I also learned it. And over time, I grew better and better and did it as though it was part of me. So nobody is born with programmer. It's a skill you learn and grow and build, develop yourself in it. So if I can learn it and know it, then you too, you can learn it and know it.
It's okay. Of course.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. A powerful class.
Okay, welcome. Okay, dude, asking how can we, I'll drop a link in the WhatsApp group that will help you that you use in downloading those videos on YouTube. All what you need is just copy the link of the video on YouTube and paste inside that site when you open it, and then you'll be able to download it and watch it offline. All right, guys, in absence of any other question, we can call it a day. Let me go and try to rest as well. Had a very busy day today. All right, guys, thank you very much for staying to the end. See you guys tomorrow. We'll be talking about an interesting topic. All right. Cheers. Good night, everyone.